Welcome to the new episode of the I Am live podcast on this channel at Astra, to the stars. On this channel we are going to talk and unveil the success stories of enlightened personalities, supernatural phenomena beyond scientific investigation, the existence of aliens or advanced species, UFO sightings, philosophical and psychological topics aligned with occult and esoteric truth. I am Sir Neats, your host in this I Am live podcast.
Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract everything they desire, while others struggle despite their best efforts? What if I told you that reality, everything you perceive as solid and fixed, is actually a fluid projection of consciousness, a quantum simulation that responds directly to your deepest awareness? This isn't science fiction. This is the cutting-edge understanding where quantum physics meets ancient wisdom, and Deepak Chopra has been quietly teaching an elite inner circle how to access and reprogram this field of infinite possibilities.
Welcome to the new episode of my YouTube channel, Add Astra to the Stars. In relation to my introductory video, today we are going to dive into the trending topic on the nature of consciousness via scientific and esoteric perspective. The title of this episode is The Nature of Consciousness in a Double-Slit Experiment. The observer effect is a phenomenon where the act of observing a system inevitably alters its state. This is not limited to a single field. It also manifests across various disciplines, from physics to psychology and philosophy. The observer effect in the double-slit experiment of Copenhagen is a cornerstone of quantum mechanics, challenging the classical intuitions about the nature of reality and consciousness. It highlights the probabilistic and counterintuitive nature of quantum world, where observation plays a crucial role in determining the outcome of an experiment. To further explain this, the double-slit experiment of Copenhagen demonstrates the wave-particle duality of light and matter, revealing that they can behave as both waves and particles. When particles, like electrons and photons, are fired at the barrier with two slits, instead of creating two lines behind the slits, an interference pattern of alternating bright and dark bands appears on the screen behind the barrier. Therefore, atoms collapse into physical reality because they resonate with the frequency of the consciousness of the observer. When it is not observed, it remains only a wave. But when observed, the electrons behave in two significant patterns as it resonates to the frequency of the observer. If physical reality is comprised with atoms, therefore atoms have also consciousness of its own. However, in spite of these claims and scientific findings, the result of the experiment baffles the understanding of human consciousness both in philosophy and science, meaning the qualia, or the subjective result by the observer, does not come from the mind and brain of human beings, but from the consciousness outside, that is present in the cosmos or quantum field and in the storehouse of the Akashic record. What is consciousness then? Is consciousness is within the brain and the mind of the human person? The human brain is the hardware of the antenna of man to access consciousness outside of himself. The brain, together with the five senses, interpret the data in terms of chemical, electrical, magnetic, and biological impulses experienced by the organs and cells of the human body. a color red, an image of a tree, the sound of the thunderstorm, of any sensation and information triggered by the mind to the brain do not originate from the physical brain, but from the consciousness of the cosmos in the quantum field. Whereas the mind serves as a software of the human body that uploads and downloads interpreted data of consciousness to the ether or cloud of the quantum field. The mind, as it resonates the specific frequency of the beholder, is a software that can access information stored in man's higher self and in the Akashic record or in the book of life. Now, what is this Akashic record? Akashic record is stored memory or library information, what we call qualia, no, in the ether, where time does not exist and be experienced only in the present moment. Furthermore, the term Akashic derives from the Sanskrit word Akasha or Akash, meaning ether, sky, or atmosphere. The Akashic records are often described as existing on a non-physical plane, sometimes likened to a holographic or vibrational record encoded within the fabric of space and time in all dimensions, timelines, as well as incarnations. Our DNA is the storehouse of all memories from different incarnations. Many believe that anyone can access their own records in all incarnations and higher self through specific meditative practices, prayer, or the guidance of the trained guru. These practices often involve grounding, meditative prayers, asking specific questions to ensure a safe and respectful interaction. So, what is consciousness then? Where does it originate? How human beings can access consciousness? Consciousness is a multifaceted concept encompassing subjective, objective experience, awareness, self-awareness, and many more. Everything on earth and even the universe has consciousness. That includes living and non-living beings because everything vibrates in light and sound. We are connected to the one source with is consciousness, or we can call it God. God as consciousness or pure consciousness divides or separates itself in many forms of consciousness to experience self or himself through us and others. We are part of God's consciousness who are connected and entangled to each other in the process of creation of the physical universe. It is our collective and personal consciousness that we have created a reality in the universe. In the grand tapestry of consciousness, we are consciousness that exists outside and inside the universe, as well as present within us. We are the microcosm of the grand macrocosm in the universe, in the matrix of simulation. In the end, there is only one consciousness, the I or me consciousness that originates from the source or God. Because you can only be conscious with your own consciousness, and you cannot be conscious with the consciousness of others. Our reality is a maya or an illusion according to Buddha because we exist in a simulation or a dream. Everything is a dream. The experience of consciousness, even in the states of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious states. The waking state or the conscious state. In the waking state of our physical reality, we hold on to our nature as solid. But in reality, what we see and touch is not solid and rough. It is the magnetic repulsion of an electron an atom that resists the fluidity and the illusion of reality. There is no physical reality because consciousness is infinite, reducible, and formless. The physical reality that we experience as a solid is an illusion. Therefore, waking state is also a dreaming reality. The dream state, the experience of reality in lucid dreaming is an illusive reality also. What makes it real is the experience of emotion, sensation, and feeling. When you are in the solid dreaming, when you are in the lucid dreaming, everything is real, solid, colorful, and exciting, and even more real than the experience reality in the waking state. That is why there's this saying in the Filipino language which says, kung itong magandang pangyayari ay isang panaginip, ayaw ko nang magising. The translation is, if this dream is real, I will not wake up anymore. You can even experience the real power within you as a spirit or consciousness as real from the waking, as real than the waking state experience in lucid dreaming. You can even fly in the sky and breathe underwater as real and as candid as it is, more joyful and crystal clear than the experience in the waking state. Why? Because our default existence is spirit, energy, and consciousness that exist even beyond time and space, as well as death. Consciousness exists even after our physical death on earth. Number 3, the deep sleep or the unconscious state. Deep sleep is unconscious state of reality, devoid of consciousness of the waking and dream states. It is a deep sleep that we go to the void of our existence, an origin for rejuvenation of our physical body and spirit. Still, the deep sleep is an experience of consciousness in the sanctuary of our inner space, in the quantum field, and in the void. There are countless realities, potentialities, and probabilities in our unconscious state. Why? Because our etheric or atomic composition is, we are 99.99999% and only 0.1111 solid matter. By the way, we are in the matrix of simulation because the existence of the hermetic principle of mentalism is, we carry it now in this explanation. Since everything is mind, it brings us to the conclusion that the universe is simulation. The hermetic principle of mentalism says that everything is mind, spirit, and consciousness. There is no physical reality because we live in a simulation in the supercomputer of the universe. That is why reality in the third dimensional world appears solid due to the magnetic repulsion of an electron, because 3D world is the components of time and space. Reality is ideational. It begins and ends with idea or consciousness. It is just the product of our stories and narrative in the grand scheme of consciousness. Truth in physical reality is an illusion. Everything is fluid and spirit or mental construct. In my conclusion, I have 8 pointers now to discuss to explain the dynamics of consciousness. Number 1 is consciousness fuels the simulation of the universe. How is that? Since we are just a program or simulation, consciousness gives us the power of life to exist with meaning, not as a data of information. The qualia that we experience are not mere data, but symbols with meaning that makes us human being superior than AI, robots, and machines. Number two, we are in the participatory universe. Consciousness, according to John Wheeler, is a participatory nature in the whole gamut of creation. By just bold looking or thinking with intention and expectation, we create something and become co-creator in the universe. Reality that we engage is both personal and collective in nature. A theory of participatory universe suggests that the universe and the consciousness are inextricably linked with each other, now with the act of observation playing a role in shaping reality. And number three, atom has its own consciousness and free will, as explained or as explained by many physicists, especially according to Deepak Chopra and Federico Fagin, Hassan Haramain, and many more. So, according to Federico Fagin, a scientist who invented computer chip, the observer effectuary atom cooperates and participates as it collapses when it is observed and measured. It resonates with the frequency of the observer with an unpredictable tendency because atom has its own independent mind and free will. That is why there is a God particle or intelligence present or embedded in atom that is uncontrollable, and the overwhelming presence now in the ether or space. Number four, we are a fractal of God in the void of consciousness. Consciousness, like God, is timeless, spaceless, borderless, formless, and infinite. As part of the tapestry of consciousness, we are participating in the creation of the universe. Man is the master and captain of his destiny and reality. We can manifest and bend reality to whatever we want, as long as we are in harmony and in the right frequency of the source or God. And number five, this theory of quantum entanglement. Consciousness plays a great role in the quantum entanglement. What is quantum entanglement? In its early stages of discovery, Einstein called it spooky action and a distance. With little doubt of this theory. But it has been proven today in the laboratory and outside by many famous quantum physicists, as I mentioned before, like Deepak Chopra, John Wheeler, Federico Fagin, Donald Hoffman, Hussein Aramain, and others, that this theory is true and 100% correct because consciousness can entangle any particle from any point in the universe faster than the speed of light. When particles are entangled, changes happen in creation. God particle, number six, God particle has free will and unpredictable behavior in consciousness. God is the source of all consciousness that covers space in the concept of panentheism. As far as the space expands, God's consciousness also expands and resonates with consciousness of the beholder in the participatory universe. And number seven, principle of mentalism. No physical reality, nothing is physical as postulated by the Hermetic principle of mentalism. Reality is both the observer and the observed, both all subjective and all objective. What is real is our emotion and the experience of sensation in the vast consciousness in the quantum field. And lastly, number 8, in a space-time reality or in our physical world or the 3D world, we are physical, but beyond that, we are spirit or consciousness devoid of space and time. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Thank you for watching this episode, and I ask you to make comments so that I could improve my content of this podcast. My last words, I always say, from the stars we came, and to the stars we shall return. Thank you very much.